So Real Agriculture comes to you today from the Canadian Food Summit in downtown Toronto, and we're joined by Jim Brandl, CEO of Vineland Research and Innovation Centre. And Jim, you just concluded a tremendous presentation on the changing ethnicity and cultural diversity of Canada, and specifically in Toronto, and how that's impacting the fruit and vegetable market.
Well, of course, you know Canada's a nation of immigrants, and the real truth is, of course, that those immigrants, as the decades have gone by, the immigrants that used to come from Western Europe and Eastern Europe are now coming from Asia, India, the Caribbean, the Philippines, places like that. And along with them, they bring their own food traditions. And with those food traditions are certain types of vegetables. And the opportunity for us as Canadian agriculture is the fact that those food traditions are different from the ones we are currently involved with, and we can then start to feed those traditions with new fruits and vegetables that are more culturally appropriate and in fact represent an opportunity in the marketplace for those that see the opportunity in the shift in demographics.
Jim, tell me about how large this opportunity is. I know you quoted some statistics about the true buying power of this market.
Well, for example, if you think about just the Indian community in the Greater Toronto area are spending nearly $400 million a year on vegetables, and most of those are imports. For example, okra, which we can grow here in Ontario quite successfully, we import nearly $8 million a year worth of okra, and we could largely replace a lot of that with local production.
So tell me about what Vineland is doing now to facilitate this, the ability to sort of service this market.
Well, so the first thing we're trying to do is understand those new consumers, right? So what do they want? How do they want it? And underneath that then, how can we create that or turn that into an opportunity for producers? And so we've asked consumers what they want, and that's created for us a list of vegetable possibilities. We've put those vegetable possibilities in research trials to see what grows and what doesn't grow. And then along with that, we've started to assemble the whole value chain. So we've got the scientists doing the experiments to say these crops will grow, farmers to grow them, produce distribution guys to distribute, grocery stores to sell to retail, and then a big conversation with the consumers at the end of the chain who want to buy them to make sure that the crop we're growing on the farm is the crop these consumers want to buy.
Now, what are some of those crops? You talked about okra and various other things. What are some of those ones that are on top of the list?
Chinese red hot pepper, Indian eggplant, which is a small round eggplant like a baseball. There's Chinese eggplant, which is a long thin eggplant, yard-long beans, callaloo, which is a leafy vegetable crop that's popular in the Caribbean, Indian kadu, and bottle gourd, which are zucchini-like creatures that are eaten, again, like zucchini, mixed in foods and with sauces and relishes.
Now, reaching this market and servicing this market, talk a little bit about the challenges. Obviously, you're going through the process of trying to connect. What are some of the challenges?
Well, the challenges, of course, are, first of all, in scale up. So you recognize an opportunity, you get a few acres going, but then you need to get the crop up to the right size in order to service the market. So then what we're trying to do, a challenge, is to understand exactly how big that market is and how much crop we need to sell. We need to know which varieties and which types are the ones that really resonate with consumers. We have all the normal farm production problems. What variety, what fertilizer, what weed control, what insect control, and putting all those packages together as well, and trying to do that as fast as possible so that Ontario can capture this opportunity.
Obviously, and you're in the process of, you have to facilitate the breeding of adapted varieties as well.
Yep. So you'll see, for example, we'll have about 1,400 different varieties of eggplant, okra, and yard-long beans out in the field this year as we start to sort through virtually the world's collection of varieties in order to find the ones that are best adapted to Ontario conditions.
Two final questions. One is, how do you connect producers and this diverse culture that we now have? How do you make the connection? How do you sort of create that relationship?
Well, so the first thing we do is we have an endless ongoing conversation with those consumers. At Vineland, of course, we have a big group that's focused on consumer science and consumer behavior. So they're there helping to understand those consumers, and then you have regular interactions with farmers, with the grocery store people, and the produce distribution all together so that everybody knows the same thing, right? So they know what those consumers want. They know they're worried about pesticide residues. They know what external appearance issues they might have with particular produce, and then everybody in the chain knows it, right? So that's how we deal with it.
A final question for you, and it really is a forward-looking thing. What does Canadian vegetable and fruit production look like in 20 years, given the work that you're doing now and where this is going?
Well, and if you look at the shifting demographics, and you look at the fact that that those new communities aren't adopting our European vegetables, you can start to see that the landscape has got to start to change in order to service those consumers. And if we don't do it, someone else will do it for us. So I think what we've got to do then is capture the opportunity. If you look out 20 years, you're going to see quite a different landscape of crops, both in fruits and vegetables, in order to feed those new and diverse Canadians.
Obviously, a lot of this demand is being met by imports right now.
Right.
Do we have the potential to meet that market in 20 years?
I think we could. Why couldn't we? We can grow anything. We meet the market for apples. We meet the market for many other crops. And I think particularly if you look at our food processing capability, so if you start to freeze or pickle or whatever it might be, then you can almost start to look at 12-month supply. So I think there's a big opportunity for us. We may never ever have 100% of the market, but we can sure have the lion's share if we try.